Zok the Heilige Gemara. We're going to start 6 lines from the bottom on Daf Tzadik Dalet on the base. Omar Afuna. Afuna said, Esr Masois Nasa Oisei Rasha Boisayoy. The Oisei Rasha Sanhedrin traveled 10 trips that day, and we're going to soon see that he traveled the amount that a normal person can travel in 10 days. He traveled in 1 day in haste to get to Yerushalayim to conquer it. Shenemar Baal Is Avar B'Migrain Lemichmash. So the names of the cities is Avar. He came to is Avar B'Migrain. He came Lemichmash Yavkid Kalim. He put his Kalim down in Michmash. So you have Ace, you have Avar, and I think you have Michmash, and then Avru Mavara, which is at the beginning, the Gemara can learn it's one city. The Gemara I'm saying it's 2 cities. Gava Maloin Lanu, Gava Maloin. Then Lanu is where they rested. Harda, who feared the Yiddish cities feared the approach of the army. Harama and give a show, and Nasa Tzali Koilach, which the Gemara first assumes is a city, but then the Gemara will say Nasa Tzali Koilach, Yisrael raise their voices, Baskalim, the children of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, which is how the Gemara is going to dash Maskana. Hakshivi, Lisha, listen, Lisha, Aniya Nasois Nadida, or Hakshivi, Lisha, Aniya, listen. The city of Lisha and Aniya and the Nasois, because there's an army coming. Nadada, they shook up and ran away. Midamna, Damena, from the city of Damena. Yoshvi, I gave him Heiz. So if we look in the back, in the Mefarish, he explains what are the 10 cities. Now, there's more than 10 cities listed off, but in the back, he lists off what the Gemara's Havamina is right now about the 10 cities. So let's pull this up over here in Yeshaya, which is over here, and over here is where he brings it. I'm going to focus the camera on it so you could see. Here, it's in Yeshaya. Let's see if we're in the right Navi. This is Yeshaya, so it's over here. So here's where he goes to the psukim. It says over here, Baal Ayis Abar B'Migran Lemichmash Yafket Kelav. So a pasuk Moine V'Oilach Ha'asara Masoi Shenosa Sanchev Kishahalach Lotzal Yerushalayim B'Yom HaPalosai. The Torah is listing off, the pasuk is listing off the 10 Masois that Sanchev passed when he wanted to attack Yerushalayim the day that he fell. Be'eloim Oyis, so here's Ayis, Migrain, Michmash, and then going to the next pasuk is Rama, Give Ashol, and then Bas Galim, and then you have Elisha, Anasois, and Midmena, and gave him. 1 second. Rav Daniel? Hello. 1 second. Looks like Rav Daniel's calling me. Could be that he's supposed to use the channel now. You don't know that. Let me call him back. Are you saying sure now? Uh-huh. Oh, Mazel Tov. Baruch Hashem. She big nachas. Beautiful, beautiful. No problem. Well, I said, yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Absolutely doable. It was beautiful. I'm actually in the middle of Shir now. I thought you were calling because I was on your channel. So let me call you within the. Okay, sure. No problem. Bye-bye. Okay. No, he was just calling for tomorrow night. Okay, so we got our 10 cities, and now let's go back inside the Gemara. We would not have answered. I just thought that maybe he needed a channel to say Shir on. Okay, so let's see what we have over here. So we have all the cities. So Zok to Gemara, if you count up all the cities there, you're going to find that there's 11 cities. So Zok to Gemara, Hani Tuvavin. Zok to Gemara, Tzahali Koilech Basgalim is not a city. Really, it was a Navi who, the Navi was just saying, Lechneses Yisrael. The Navi was telling Klal Yisrael, Tzahali Koilech Basgalim, raise your voice, the son of waves. What does that mean, the son of waves? Vitoy shel Avram, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, she'osu mitzvos kegale hayam. They did mitzvahs like the waves of the ocean. Strong and steady, but there are those who say, in Rukni, sometimes we have ups and we have downs, similar to a wave. Hakshiva Elisha, that's a person says Elisha should listen. And what does it mean, Hakshiva Elisha? We're darshaning, Elisha is another word to describe the lion. So Hakshiva Elisha, be afraid of the lion. And the lion we'll soon see is referring to Nebuchadnezzar. But Mehai, from Sanhedrin that's coming now, Lo Tistafi, you don't need to be nervous. Sanhedrin will not be able to conquer Yerushalayim. Lo Istavi mi Nebuchadnezzar Russia, the muscle, Ka'aryeh, he is compared to an Aryeh. Shenemar Ola Aryeh B'Soif. Shvek Gemara, my Aniyah, what does Aniyah mean? We're darshaning it. Aniyah Anosois, which is one of the cities that's listed. The Gemara is referring to a nevuah that Yirmiyah will come. Yeshai was saying nevuah about Yirmiyah. Also, Yirmiyah ben Chalakia. Yirmiyah ben Chalakia is going to come. Umisnabe alome anosois, and he's going to say his nevuah from anosois. Yichsiv divrei Yirmiyah ben Chalakia min hakoyim asher ba'anosois be'eretz binyam. So, for the Gemara, it says in the pasuk Layish. It says Hakshiva Layish. It doesn't say Hakshiva Aryeh. So how do you know that it's referring to Nebuchadnezzar? Midami Hasam Ari and Hach Layish. The truth is that Shisha Shem Yishesh Lari. There's 6 names for the animal lion. Eloin Ari, Kafir. I believe there's a Kafir brigade in the army. I think there's trains in Israel that are called the Kafir train. Lavi, we know. There's a kibbutz Lavi, but it stands for a lion. Layish, we know now. Shachal and Shachal. For the Gemara, now that you took Adi Anosis away from being a city, and you're saying it's talking about the Novi, so now we're missing one. The Gemara, Over Ma'avra, instead of it saying they passed Ma'avra, we'll tie Over and Ma'avra, 2 cities, Tartinim. Zogt Gemara, My Oid Hayoim Benoiv Lamoid. The Pasuk says that when it's still day, Sanhedrin was rushing to get to Noiv to launch his attack on Yerushalayim. So Amar Afuna, Oise Ayoim Nishtayer Ma'oine Shol Noiv, Me'avoina, Nishtayer Me'avoina Shol Noiv, which means that there was a Geferlich Avera that Klal Yisrael was over in Noiv. Klal Yisrael collectively destroyed the full city of Kohanim, and they were punished, and they were going through Tsar, which was going to be Mechaper and the Avera. And the last day, the day that the Avera expired, where they wouldn't need any more Tikkun, was on this day, the day that Sanhedrin was supposed to attack Yerushalayim, and that he attacked that day, being that the Avera of Noiv wasn't paid up for yet, it was still a Shas Adin, he would have been successful. And therefor, Amrle Kaldoi, his stargazers told him, if you fight Yerushalayim today, Yachlos La, you will succeed. But Viloi, if you delay even one day, Lo Yachlos La, you won't be able to conquer Yerushalayim. So Urcha de Boy Leskuya Basar Yomi, a trip that would normally take 10 days, Saga B'chad Yoma, he was able to do in one day, which is the 10 Masois that we just learned about. Himatu Yerushalayim, when he got to Yerushalayim, Shadile Bistarke, they built him a platform because he wanted to be able to gaze over the wall of Yerushalayim to see the city, to see his target. Adisolik v'Yosef mi'iloi, Shura, above the rows of the bricks of the wall. Adechazia l'chuli Yerushalayim, until he was able to see all of Yerushalayim. Tichazia, when he saw it, it looked very small in his eyes. It wasn't so impressive. It wasn't the grand Yerushalayim that he had always expected. Amar haloi da, he counted Yerushalayim. This is the city of Yerushalayim. The Allah Argishes called me Shirisai. I mobilized my entire army for this little city. This is a joke battle. But Allah Kavshes called Medinta. This is why I captured all these Medinas to to end off in the pinnacle of Yerushalayim. Halizahira, it's small. The mikol karche amamayda kavshes. Bitkoiv yodi, it's weaker than all of the great nations that I conquered with the strength of my hand. All of a come, he got up and stood up. Umanid Bereshin, he was turning his head. Moivel umayse biyode, he gemacht mofsum mit the hand. Al tur beis mikdasha on Har Habayis, the Betzion, Valazrasa, the Yerushalayim. Omri, what happened was his people told him, we got to attack today. They just traveled a very long way. Everybody was likely very exhausted. And they said, no, nishti be'yod, we need to conquer Yerushalayim now. Amalu, he said, Tamisu, what's the rush? We're tired. You don't need to start today. Lumachar, tomorrow, I want every single one of these soldiers, and we'll see, we're going to see there was 2.6 billion people. Lumachar, tomorrow, Aisili kol chad v'chad minaychu, every man here should break off a piece of rock from the wall. Go mihar minay. I want every single soldier to bring me a piece of rock from the wall, which would basically eliminate the entire wall. Miyad, what happened? Being that he said everything's happening tomorrow, everybody went to sleep. Vahi b'laylahu, vayotza, vayetze malach Hashem, vayach b'machna asher, meya u'shmoinim, v'chamisha elef. It killed 185,000. So you might ask, I just said 2.6 billion, here's 185,000. The Gemara on a basis is going to explain, the 185,000 were captains, were lieutenants, but they had many men working under them. He got up in the morning, his entire army dropped dead. Boss Dina, if you allow a din to remain overnight and you don't conclude Bottle Dina, it'll be bottle, because here, by the fact that Sanhedrin waited overnight, he lost his opportunity and his whole army was liquidated. It says V'yishbi b'noif. Now we're changing the subject. We're going to a new story about David HaMelech. V'yishbi b'noif. Yishbi was a noif. Since we talked about noif, so the Gemara is telling us a new story about noif. V'yishbi b'noif. Asher b'yelidei harafa. And we know the Shorn tells us that this was a child. He was a child of Arpa, or a brother of Goliath. He was such a big, powerful man. Umishkal kinai, the weight of the little pouch that he had on the spear was shalosh shmeos mishkal nechoshas. So you can imagine how big this guy was. Uchagar chadasha, he was a new recruit, and as an initiation, a new recruit had to go kill some enemies. So he decided, you know who he's going to take on to give himself his initiation? This is David. He decided he's going to go kill David. The Yishbi b'noiv. Why Yishbi in noiv? Amar Yehuda Amarav is Shabal iske noiv. He wanted to punish David. He wanted to fulfill the punishment that the Rebbeinu Shloim wanted to give David for having caused the terrible massacre of Noiv Irak Hayhanim. Because by the fact that he went and asked the head of the city to give him food and to give him shelter, that led to Shaul wiping them all out. So Amalek Kadosh Baruch Hu David. Kadosh Baruch Hu told David, Ad Masa Yiyah Avon Zeh Taman B'Yotcha. How long are you going to hold on to these Averis before you have a kapara? Al Yotcha Neherga Noiv Irak Hayhanim. Because of you, Noiv Irak Hayhanim was killed. Val Yotcha Nitrak Doyika Doimi. And because of you, Doyika Doimi put Lashon Hara on you, and you raged on Shaul against you, which caused the downfall of Doyika Doimi. Val Yotcha, through you, Nehergu Shaul v'shloishes Bonov, because that made Shaul be right of you, and that's how he fell in the Muhammad with his 3 sons. So look how much damage you caused. I'm going to give you a choice of which punishment you want. Either Ritzaycha Yichalo Zaracha, your progeny are going to be destroyed, and you won't have a Shalshalash HaYuchsim, or you're going to fall into the hands of the enemy. So David answered, Mutav Emser Biad Oyev. I'd rather fall into the hands of the enemy, but I don't want chas v'sholem, my children, to be decimated. So, Yom Echad, one day, Nafuk Lischar B'Zoy, it's either the name of a city, or he went to hunt trap animals. Also, a Satan came, the Idmile Kitavi, and he looked. He came in the form of a deer. Pasuk big here. He shot an arrow at the deer to catch it. He couldn't reach it, and he ran after the deer. Moshe ran after the deer till it led him in to the Palestinian territories. Adam Tayaler plished him where he was in danger of getting lynched, and that's exactly what happened. When Yishbi Benoiv saw David HaMelech wander here into the Philistine land, Amr said, Hainu, that's David, Haida Kotli Lagolias Achi. He's the guy who killed my brother. I'm going to get him back. Kavse, he tied him up. Kamta, he kvetched him, he squeezed him down. And Oisve Vishadje Tuse Bebaja. He put him under a millstone to crush him. Isavad Nisa, and this happened to David. Mochale Aramituse. The land softened underneath him, so he was able to be depressed into the soil without getting crushed. Hanyu Dechsiv, that's what David HaMelech says in Tehillim. Tarchiv Tzadi Tachta, my walking area, my path opened up underneath me. And my legs didn't get crunched. Anyway, this day that this happened was a Panya de Malashab. It was late Erev Shabbos. And Avishai ben Tzeruya, who was David's chief of staff, he was taking a shower. With 4 short of water, it was a lot of water. We saw some blood stains in the water. Ikadamri, or maybe also Yoina Itruf Kamei, a dove came and was flapping its wings and making noise in front of him and grabbing his attention. So he understood, Avishai, that there's trouble happening. Amar Knesset Yisrael Yoina Imsila. Klal Yisrael is compared to a moshel. The Nemar Kanfe Yoina Nechba B'Kesef were covered with the silver of the mitzvahs in the Torah. Shemamina, it must be that David Malkad Yisrael B'Tzaira. It can't be all of Klal Yisrael, because that I would have heard of. It must be David HaMelech is in trouble. So Shari, he's soaked in tzara. He's in a tzara. Also, Lebeisa, he ran to the home of David HaMelech. David was not there. So now he had to go run to find him, but he needed a vehicle. So he went into the presidential garage and he wanted to take an animal. But Omar, we learned, Tanan ein roichin al susoy, vel yoishun al kisoy, vel mishtamishim b'shavitoy. I'm not allowed to use the facilities of the king. But he wanted to know, here we have a Shas HaSakana, what would be, maybe you could relax those prohibitions. The Shas HaSakana mai. So also, Shol be Midrash, he went to ask the Halach in the Besmedrash, Amulei b'Shas HaSakana saper dami. B'Shas HaSakana, you're allowed to ride the animal of the king. So Rachvei Lepardi, he rode the mule of the king. They come Ozal, and he went, and the animal knew exactly where to go. Kav tzolei ara bahadei, kav ara bahadei. So he had kvisa there, not right to where he had to go. I'm sorry.
No, he had kvisa there.
That's right. He had kvisa there. Now, on his way to find David, he encountered Arpa. Bahadei the Kamaski chazil Arpa ime. He found the mother of Yishbi Benoiv and the mother of Goliath. The Habanavla, she was knitting. Now, if you think about this, she must have been 400 years old at this point, because the Ma'aseh Boyas happened a long, long time ago. Anyway, Ki Chazise, when she saw him, she wanted to kill him. Pasakta lepilcha. She took her kneading needle, which is a big sharp needle. Shotzi, she threw it at him like a dart to try to kill Avishai, the chief of staff of David. Shavar lemiktalei. And what happened was that she missed. So now it's on the floor. Now it's a little bit uncomfortable because when he tried to kill me. So she made believe like she dropped it by mistake. So Amalek, she told him, Elam, young man, Aisili plach, do me a favor, could you pick up my needle? I dropped it. What did he do? He said, I'll give it to you, all right. He took it and he plunged it into her head, the katla, and he killed Arpa. Kadchazia, Yishbi Benoiv, so then he moved on and he met Yishbi Benoiv. When he got to Yishbi Benoiv, Amar, Hashta Hava Beitrain. What happened? Yishbi realized that's 2 against 1. There's David and there's Avishai. If he saw him coming, if he gets here, it's going to be 2 against 1. So I better eliminate David quickly while it's still 1-on-1. So Hava Beitrain the Katlan Lee. So what he did was his Paske David Leila. He was very strong and big. He threw David high into the air, and then Vidot Leila Romche, and he quickly planted his spear in the ground so that David would land on the spear and become impaled. Amar nipel Allah, he'll fall on my spear, v'niktal, and he'll die. So Amar Avishai said Hashem, Ukme lo David ben Shemai Lyra, and he froze in midair. Frank Gemara, why did Avishai have to do that? David could have done that. So Gemara, no, because the prisoner himself can't unlock himself. And Rashi says when he's in such a stressful situation, he can't properly concentrate and focus to say the Shem Hashem. So he needed Avishai to bail him out. And then Avishai told David, my boy Sacha, what in heaven's name are you doing in the Palestinian territories? You can be killed here. Amarle, I'll tell you what happened with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He gave me a choice of A or B. And I picked A, that I want to be locked up because I don't want to go. I don't want to lose my children. Amarle, Avishai said, David, push the back button on your computer screen until you have your choice and enter choice number 2, choice B, because the choice you picked was not a good choice. What about your children? Right now, you got to worry about the here and now. Generations, your children, they'll worry about that later. Maybe it doesn't mean they're going to die. Maybe it means they'll be onichash of kameis. And Kiri's Lisbon said, they'll deal in wax. Let them get a job. But for Adlot to star, you can't give up your life. I'm like, okay, fine. You want me to change my choice, but I can't just do it. I need big tefillas. You have to daven together with me. What does it mean? Avishai helped David by davening to change his selection of punishments. Amar Avishai, shame. Avishai said a shame. Now there are those who learn that he said another shame, and then va'achte, and he was thrown away, so he didn't land on the spear. But Rashi says that just referring back to what we said earlier, and it's continuing on the story. When he said the Shem, David was suspended in air, and then he got pushed far away. And him and Avishai, David and Avishai were now running away from Yishai Benoit, Yishbi Benoit. Havakarada Fesrayu, he was still running after them. Kimati Kubi, when they reached a city called Kubi, Amri, Kubi stands for Kumbe, maybe we should wait here. But they panicked and they said, no, he's coming, we got to get out of here. Kimata Betray, then he went to a city called Betray. Amri said, Betray Gurion, Katluila Arya, you think us two little our 2 little cubs are going to be able to fight this big, massive Arya? He's going to win us. We got to run. Amr Lay, he told him, I have a great idea. They told Yishbi Benoit, they told him, Zil ishtakach l'imech, go see your dead mother in the grave, shocking him with grief that his mother died. So when they mentioned that his mother is in trouble, Kachashi weakened for a second, Kachashchele, his strength weakened for a minute, and in that weak moment of Katle, they were able to kill Yishbi Benoit. Oz Nishbu, after that, they told David, we can't let you out anymore, because you got yourself into trouble. So therefore, Oz Nishbu Anshe David Loi Lamar. They swore to him, you're not coming with us to war. You need to stay at home and stay protected. You got to learn Torah, and that's going to be the schus with which Klal Yisrael will have a key. Taner Rabbanim. Shloisha kavtza lehem haaretz. There are 3 people who were zoicha to kvitz derech. Eliezer Eved Avram, Yaakov Avinu, Avishai ben Tzeruya. Avishai ben Tzeruya had Amarin. That was the story that we had here. Eliezer Eved Avram dechsiv va'avoy hayoyim alayin. I came today, the same day that I left Avram Avinu. That was kvitz derech. Lememra hu yoyma. That was the same day. Avavoy yom alayin. Lememra da hu yoyma. Nofik Yaakov Avinu. I'm sorry. Remember, it tells us that Eliezer of Avram left that day, and he arrived within 1 day. That's clearly kvitza there. How about Yaakov Avinu? We really see that he had kvitza there. Turning on Talmud Beis, the 7 says in the pasuk, "Vayetze Yaakov mi be'er shava, vayelach Charana." He went to Haran, and then it says "Vayivka b'mokum v'yolon sham," which is Beisel, which he passed already. Kiva Shemesh, and he stopped there. It was nighttime. So how is he in Haran if he stopped in Beisel overnight? So Zok Gemara, I'll tell you what happened. When he got to Haran, Omar, he said, "Evsher avarti al mokom shespalu b'avoisai." Is it possible that I passed the place where my father's daven, v'ani lo yispalalti boy, and I didn't daven there? I got to go back. Boy lemheder, I need to go back. The moment he thought to go back, poof! Instantly, kibbutz here b'daite lemheder kavtzalei ira miyad v'yifka b'mokom. Right then, zap, he was finding himself in Beisel. So there's a kvitza there. Davaracher ein pigia ella tvila. It says Vayivka b'mokayim, it means he davened there. Shenemer says in the pasuk, Ve'ata Hashem told Yirmiyah Navi, Al tispalu baramazeh, don't daven for them. Val tisa b'adam rino tefillah, don't create rino tefillah for them. Val tivka b'no ba'ami. And then it says Vayolan Sham Kiva Shemesh. It says that Yaakov slept there because the sun came down. Bozer the Tzoli, after he davened, Boilam Ed, he wanted to go back to Charan. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Tzadik Zeh Bo Leveis Maloni. The Tzadik Yaakov came to my hotel. Yiftar B'Loinina, I let him leave, and he shouldn't spend the night. So Miyad Bo Hashem, as Hashem made that the sun should set early, so that Yaakov would be stuck there. And that's why when he needed the sun to help him heal his injured Giran Osha, it says the sun shined for him. What do you mean the sun shined for him? The sun shines for everybody. It's the same sun that sets suddenly to prevent him from leaving Beis Hillel, now shown special for him to help heal. Zog to Gemara, we concluded that David changed his selection of punishments, that his children should be destroyed. And we know in the Cholosari to David. Where do you see that David's progeny were all killed out? The Chsiv says, Vasalya Emachazio, the mother of Achazio, Ra'asa Kimeis B'na, she saw that her son died. Vatokam Vatayvad Eskol Zera Hamamlocha, she killed out the entire Mamloch. What was the story? A very tragic story. A Navi sent somebody to kill the Melech Yisrael, and he decided he's also going to kill the Melech Yehuda, and he killed the Melech Yehuda, who was the husband of Vasalya, and he killed all of his children, including Achazio, who was the son of the king, who would have been the next king. But now that he died, and there's no children in this family, the Malchus would go to another family, a cousin that was also from Bnei David. And this woman didn't want to give up the power of the throne. So therefore, when it was Rozak Imeis B'na, and she's going to lose the Malchus, she killed out every one of the children of David Melech, so there should be no one left, which would then allow her to retain the throne. Frank the Gemara, but the story goes there, one little child was left over. So not all of David's Zerah was destroyed. Yoash survived. So it's more true, but that was enough of a punishment, even though Yoash was left alive, because in Noivir Kayanim, he didn't kill everybody either. There was one kind that survived. Hasanami Yishtair of Yosar, the Siva Yimolet ben Echad, Lachimelech ben Achitoiv, Ushuma of Yosar. Amr Abiyuda Marav Ilmolet Nishtair of Yosar, Lachimelech ben Achitoiv. If that coin wasn't left over, that one coin, Chas v'shalom lo nishtair mizari shal David saru to Polat. There wouldn't be one descendant left of David. Amar b'dam Rav. Ba'aleim Sanhedrin. Let's get back to Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin came to attack Klal Yisrael in Yerushalayim. Ba'arboyim v'chamisha elef ish b'nei malachim, with 45,000 princes. Yoshvim b'kroinei shozah, sitting in golden chariots, or golden, not chariots, golden carriages. They had all their women and their zonas with them, which you don't normally take into a battle. But they were so sure that this is such an easy battle, they brought their wives to show these guys are such weak people, even our wives can destroy them. And it was Shemoinim Elaf Giboyrim, and 80,000 Giboyrim, Levusha, Syria, and Klipa, wearing armor that was made of scales. Uveshishim Elef, and with 60,000 Achuzei Cherev Rotzim Lefan. So if you add these three numbers up, you get 185,000. Bashar Paroshim and the rest were all infantry. V'chein Bo, and with the same amount of people, so many against such a small nation. Bo al Avram, the kings ganged up on Avram by the 5 and the 4 kingdoms fought. And the same scenario is going to happen with Gog and Magog. We're going to be severely outnumbered by a huge mass of an army. But Masnisa Tana, we learned in the Brisa, the size of this machna was huge. Oirech machaneu, Arbameis Parsha was 400 Parsa, which is approximately 1,600 kilometers. And the Rechav Tzavar Susov, if you lined up all of the horses side by side, Arbon Parsa would be 40 Parsa. Sach Machaneu, the total amount, was Masayim Vishishim Ribui, 260 260 times 10,000. 260 times 10,000 is 2,600,000. Alofim thousand. So 2,600,000 times 1,000 is 2,000,000,600,000. So it's 2.6 billion people were there. Chosr chad, less one. Boy Abai. Abai wanted to know, what do you mean missing one? Chosr chad rivoy, is it 10,000 less than 6.2 billion? Or chosr chad alpha, or maybe it's only 1,000 less than 6.2 billion. Or chosr meya, maybe it's only 100 less than 2.6 billion. Or chosr chad are one. Look more take it. Tana we learned. We showing them the first wave of horses when they crossed the big body of water. Over B'Shechi, it was so deep the water, the horses had to swim. But after the first wave of horses crossed, there were so many horses, and they drank water along the way, that the whole body of water, it was a river, it was an ocean, dropped several feet, and so over Bekuma, the next wave of horses were able to just walk through because the water level had dropped. Shenemar Atzavar Yagia. And Achronim, the third, by the time the third wave came, there was no water left. Helu Ofer Beragleim, they were walking on dry sand. They couldn't even find water. They had to bring in water for the horses to drink. Shenemar and Ikarti v'Shasisi Mayim, I had to dig boilers and drink water. Frank Gemara, how could you say that there were 2.6 billion people? There was only 185,000 of each. Omar Bavo, the 186,000 wasn't the total amount of soldiers. They were just the lieutenants and the captains and the officers who each had thousands of soldiers fighting under them. Hello, Russia guys, I say. Omar Bashi, Dekanami, I can prove it. It says Hashem punished b'mashmon of Rozai. We had this pasuk earlier. Remember, we learned just like Acho Sanhedrin had 8 names, so too Chizkiah had 8 names. So we learn here b'sheminim the ispuhu, the feta, the knackers. They were the ones Hashem killed. That's the 185,000. Amar Rabbeinu Dekanami, another ayah. The Chsiv Yishlach Hashem Malach. Vayikached and killed Kol Giber Chayil v'Nogid v'Sar b'Machne. So clearly the 185,000 is referring to the leaders. Vayova Beis Elikov, he came to his Getchke, Umyitzie Me'av Sham, and from his children were there. Hepilu b'Cherev, and they killed him. His children, Sanheriv's children, killed him. Shemami, no, you see, that's what we're talking about. Only the leaders, but Avada, there were many more standard privates. So how did the Malach kill all of these people? He hit him with his hand. He came. It says by the Tzias Mitzrayim, the hand. What hand? A hand that was somewhere else in history. He gave him the finger. Again, this is the same finger that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will eventually punish Sanhedrin. I'm not even going to send a special mission, a special delegation to kill Sanhedrin's men. It's not even worth my time. Since Gabriel was on his way anyway, I'll send him to do along the way to do a mission. Let me ask you a question. Is your sickle sharp and ready to go? My knife is ready since Sheshim Bereshis is waiting for this. The harvest nodded to. The Mashal speaks out. What it means to say is that all of the nisim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made in the Bria were all preset into the Bria when the Bria was created. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the Bria, this is how you're normally going to operate, but for these Kokshations, there's going to be nisim and you're going to operate differently. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochi Amar, that period of time was Man Bishul Paris Haya. It was the time where Paris ripened, and Gabriel was the Malach in charge of making Paris ripen. And therefore, Amalek is Rochel Gabriel. Because Paris, if you're going anyway for your main mission of causing the Paris to become ripe, he's Akaklem. On the way, just knock off 185,000 or 2.6 billion people. Shenemar midei avri, on the way, yigach eschem, ki baboiker yavor, vayoyim v'layla. And then vayirak zava, haven shmua. It's going to be a shock to the world that all of Sanherib's army was evaporated overnight. Amar Papa, Hanid Amar Inchi, that's what the Velt says. Agav orcheich lebal devavech ishtama. You should always pass by along your way to do whatever you're doing. Pass by your enemy, so your enemy should know that you're strong and he should fear you.
You know that Rebbe Shalom gives a malach only one job to do at a time.
I was wondering that. I thought you only have one shlich tzadam, and here Hashem said, if you're going anyway,
On
stop
the way.
So I'm not sure. And you can't even say that, the mission that you're going to kill them, that's there. And then when you finish killing them, then you'll start your next mission to make the payers ripe. Because
Then would have been the same.
Back. I'm sorry?
Then the same thing would have been by Avraham Avinu, by the Malachim over there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'm not sure. I was thinking the same thing. How was it possible for Gabriel to have two different
jobs?
I'm not sure. He didn't even use such force. He just blew in their noses, and that caused them to die. They were just blown out v'yopshu and they dried out. Rabbi Yirmiyah be'Abba Omar, kapayim sidduklum. He didn't even blow to them. He just slapped his hands together, and that caused it. And the Mashal says the right hand is midas harachamim, the left hand is midas hadin. When they clap together, Hashem shows racham to Klal Yisrael by giving the din to the goyim. Shenemar v'gam ani eka kapi al kapi v'ani chosi chamasi. Rabbi Nachman was naim gilem. He allowed them to hear what normally a human shouldn't be able to hear. The shamu shira and pichayos. They heard the shira from the chayos. Umesu. They died from that holy exposure. Shenemar mi Rebbe Moscha noftu goyim. The Mashal said that was midah connected midah because they were being mavazed the Rebbeinu Shalom, and they realized that they couldn't even listen to chayos that are saying shira to their Rebbeinu. The common ishtar. So out of all these men, did anybody survive? We know Sanhedrin survived. Did anybody else survive with him? Rav Amar Asora, 10 people survived with him. Shenemar Vishar Otz Yaru, the Eitz Yarai, the rest of the wood from his forest. In other words, what was remaining for him, Mispar Yu, it'll be a number, Vinar Yichtavim, and a little child can write the number. Now, if a little child has a quill, he can't really write anything, but if a drop drips out of the quill, it makes a dot. A dot represents a yud. Kamenar yochal lichtay v'asari, he can write a yud, so it means 10 people. Ushmul amar tisha, it was 9 people. Shenemar v'nishar by oilois, it was left over in the tree. Oilois kenoikiv zayis, like little olives that are left over on the olive tree. Shnaim shloisha, 2 or 3 gargarim b'rosh amar, on a twig. Or arba v'chamisha, 4 and 5 olives b'sife on a branch. So the 4 plus 5 is 9. Rishum Levi Omer, it's 14 because you also count the 2 and the 3 earlier in the pasuk. Shneim shnaim shloisha arba v'chamisha. Rabbi Yochanan Omer, we don't learn that from the pasuk. What it is it's Sanhedrin u'shnei banav. Sanhedrin has 2 children, which is 3. Nebuchadnezzar is 4. V'nevuzradin is 5. Nevuzradin, how do we know that he survived? Gemara, we have a Kabbalah that he survived that liquidation of Sanhedrin's army. Nebuchadnezzar, we have a pasuk. The Chsiv, we learned that Nebuchadnezzar, when he put Hananiah, Mishael, Vazar into Kivshon, and this happened, and he was able to see in the Kivshon. And the Gemara says, how do we know that a Heilig Yid is before a Malach? Because Nebuchadnezzar says that there are 4 men walking unscathed in the Kivshon. The Rava de Reviyah, and the face, the look of the 4th guy, Domi the Baraloin, he looks like a godly face. How in the world will Nebuchadnezzar know what a godly face looks like? If he allowed the Chazah, if he never saw a Malach, Mino Haviyada, Sanhedrin, how would he have known? I'm sorry, Mino Haviyada, period. How would Nebuchadnezzar have known? So it must be that Nebuchadnezzar saw the Malach at the story of Sanhedrin, which he survived. Now, how do you know Sanhedrin, which Shnei Banav survived? The Chsivit says, Vayihu, Mishtachav based Nisrach Eloi. When he was going to bow down to his Getchke, his own two sons killed him. But their melech v'shiratze bonov, he killed becherev. They killed their own father. So obviously they survived. The Gemara in Namaraf will tell us why they killed him. It's because he was planning to. He had a big problem. He had a big problem on his hands, and he was going to sacrifice his two sons to help him get rid of that problem. So when they heard that he was planning to sacrifice them, they killed him first. Amar Bavo, Mikra Kosov, if the following pasuk wasn't written, EF Shalom, we would never be able to say something like this. On that day, Yigalach Hashem, B'tar Haschira, Hashem gave a haircut with a very sharp, powerful scissors, the Avrei Nohar in the other side of the bank of the river, the Melech Asher, which is referring to Sanhedrin, as a roish, his head, the Sahar Aglaim, and the hair of his legs, the Gamas Hazakan Tisofa, and the beard also got taken in. So the Gemara says, also Kuchabarichu, the Advi like a Gavra Saba. The Baruch Hu dressed up like an old man. So the Rishonim tell us that the Baruch Hu never dresses up like a person. So either it just means he put an Eitzah into Sancheriev's head. That's one thing it could mean. Another thing it could mean is he sent a Malach dressed that way. And Omer Lei, Ki Azos Lagabi Malchi Mizrach Umayr. Let's figure out what happened. After this destruction of Sancheriev's army, remember he took 45,000 princes from different kingdoms. And he said, come with me, this is a piece of cake, this war. And they all dropped dead. What exactly is he now going to tell the kings of all these cities what happened to their kids? He's in big, big trouble now. So they asked him, that you took their kids because the sinu and you caused them all to die. My Amatul, what exactly are you going to tell them? They're not going to be very happy with you. Amatul told them the truth is, I'm also thinking about that. That's a big problem I have. It's a diplomatic nightmare. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it. Amalei, Hechinavit, what should I do? Amalei said, the old man, meaning your Rosh, put this Eitzah into the head of Sancheriv. Zil Vishani Navshak. You better go into the witness protection program and hide yourself because there's no way you're going to be able to deal with this. But my Ishni, exactly what should I dress up as? What should I change myself to? Amalei Zil Aisili Mispera. Bring me a scissors, bring me a barber machine. The Gazakhan, I'll give you a haircut and no one will recognize you. The Gazakhan, I will give you a haircut. So Sancheriv asked, where in the world am I supposed to get a hair cutting tool? Amalei, so the Zakin told him, Oil Lahube, so go into that house over there. Aisi and bring, ask them for their scissors. Also, he went to that house. Ashkechinu Asu Malachi Asharis. He found Malachi Asharis were in the house. They were dressed up as people. They took the form of people. They were grinding the seeds of dates. Amalei, he told him, could you please give me a scissor? Amalei, we're not giving you a scissor for free. If you work here and you help us out, we'll give you a scissor. So grind, so a big amount of a saw of seeds. It's a lot of hard work. And then we'll give you. So he worked like a chamor. He did it. And he got the scissors. But after this whole grueling experience, till he got the scissors, it was dark. Can't get a haircut in the dark. Amalei, so the barber, this old man said, Zil Aisi Nura, you got to get me a fire so that I can see. Also, the Aisi Nura, he brought a fire and he kept on blowing on it to keep it burning. But while he was doing it, Nura, it caught on his beard and it burned Ozal, it burned his beard, Ozal Gazil Reshe, Vidikne, and then it cut off his hair and his beard. Amru, so they said, this is what it says, the Gam es hazaken tisafa. If you looked at the pasuk said, when he was getting his Eitzah, the pasuk says, it's a roish v'sar al-ghaim al-kat, right? The Galach Hashem besar, haschira b'evri nor, b'melech asher, it's a roish v'sar al-ghaim, but a beard used a different expression. The Gam es hazaken tisafa, the beard will also get taken in. Teretz says it was taken in, but it wasn't cut, because that burnt. Omar Papa Hanidam Rinchi, this is what the Velt says, Girte Larma, if you chop off all his head, and if you burn a guy, and chop it and he doesn't complain, then Istlele Nur Bedikne, then light a fire on his beard, because he doesn't mind, and you'll be able to poke fun at him and have fun at his expense, you'll never be satisfied with all the fun you can have making fun of him. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we were zoichet to finish Daf Tzadik Hey, and Be'ez Hashem tomorrow we're going to learn Daf Tzadik Vav. Gute Nacht, na gute Woche.
Mittwoch.
You want to eat something?
Yeah, I'm gonna go down first.